Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Battlefield. I'm gonna turn down the audio a little bit. Hopefully you guys are excited for this podcast episode. Before we get into it, ladies and gentlemen, episode 24, we're calling this one The Apocalypse, and with me today I have Flak.
Hey everyone, it's Flakfire. You can find me online at youtube.com/firegaming and also twitch.tv/.
Alright, Flak, you cut off a little bit there, but as he was saying, guys, find him on YouTube, Flakfire. I also have Mambo B with me.
What's up, everybody? Mambo B coming at you. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. You guys can find me on Twitch TV /Mambo_B for the things related to Battlefield and other variety of games.
Awesome. And I'm your host, Echo Limits. That's spelled EKOLIMITS, and you can find me on twitch.tv. All right, so as it is customary with the podcast, I give you guys the topics ahead of time so you know what you're getting into. Of course, this is a podcast that's recorded live, so you guys can get your opinion right in the middle of the conversation. So I actually like that about our podcast, that we do these things. Which reminds me, if you guys are watching the recording, maybe you're on Flak's channel right now, slap a like, leave a comment below. One of the most upvoted comments we'll try to incorporate in our episodes. It's a feature we're working on with Flak, try to get you guys more in that conversation as well, because a lot of people are too busy to write us emails. But if you're not too busy to write an email, here's the email. It's called the Let's Talk Podcast @gmail.com. We do have a listener mail section. All right, let me update you guys with the 3 topics we chose to personally discuss here. The first one will be by Flak, which is called Details Surrounding Apocalypse DLC. All right. The next one will be by Mambo, and it is what are your feelings on the last DLC releasing so close to the Turning Tides DLC? I know I could not see that coming. And the final one is by me with the Apocalypse talk. They're introducing a brand new feature called Afflictions, and I want to talk about that with the guys and the community. So those are our topics. Of course, once again, if you're watching the recording, slap a like, comment below, get involved, guys. Get involved, because I mean, we all love Battlefield, and if we get involved and do something about it and give our ideas to the dev team, hopefully things can change for the better, right? I think we can go straight into the comments, straight into the topics. Fellas, Flak, you want to go first?
Sure. So I thought it would be neat. You know, we've been trying to do this podcast for a little bit here, but
I gotta say, we apologize. Things happen, guys. It's hard to get everybody scheduled on the same time, and we have also had technical difficulties. So this is the 3rd time we were actually scheduled for this podcast. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
yeah. So on that note, you know, it's been a little bit since the announcement of Apocalypse, but you know, now we know pretty much what the DLC is going to include at this junction. So, you know, we're getting 3 infantry or land-based maps, right? We're going to be seeing Passchendaele, Caporetto, and River Somme, and all of those have been playable on the CTE at this point. So I know some of you guys have probably had an opportunity to play those. You've also got the air assault mode that they're calling it there, and for that you have Razor's Edge, which is a map above, you know, some winter mountains there, and then London Calling, which takes place over the city of London, which is pretty neat. And there are some interesting game modes associated with that map. We're also getting new melee weapons. We're getting 6 new guns, which I'm sure we'll be talking about. They're going to be giving us the AA rocket gun, which I'm really excited about, and 2 new aircraft in the Brandenburg G1 and the Airco DH-10. So got that. You've got you know, the Livens projectors are going to be there. Those are pretty neat. They made some announcements that they're going to be bringing them to 1 or 2 of the other maps as well. So we'll see those.
Oh, whoa! They're bringing it to the other ones maps too as well.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
they made an announcement related to that, and we got new assignments, unlocks, and we have a specialization type called Afflictions, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But I'm just looking for your guys' kind of knee-jerk reactions to here's what Apocalypse is going to be, and your thoughts to it.
Well, I have a question, Flak. You seem to be a little bit more in tune with what's coming in the future because of your connections over there at DICE. So, what's these details that I'm hearing rumors that we're only really getting for infantry gameplay, like 3 maps, not 4 or 5? Is this true? People are questioning me. I'm like, I don't know. Let's talk to my boy Flak and find out some more details on it. You got anything on that, Flak?
The only thing that I can say, I haven't heard anything different, is that all we're getting are 3 infantry maps, which I have my own opinions about, which I'll probably go into in a little bit. But for me, that's a little bit underwhelming. Partially because I am not a pilot in Battlefield. I am terrible at flying airplanes. I'm a decent gunner there, but in terms of actually flying them, not very good, being 100% honest there. So, when they came out and they announced this DLC of okay, 3 infantry maps, 2 air maps, I'm like, why? Why aren't we getting 4 infantry maps? That's always been kind of the baseline measurement for a DLC. If you want to give us other maps, fine. If you want to bring us air superiority style game mode, that's fine. But really kind of surprised that we're getting 3 infantry maps. Especially when you look at what Battlefield's done before. The French DLC had a total of 6 maps. Russian DLC had a total of 6 maps. Turning Tides has 4. But at the same point, I think we should give DICE credit that I had only expected 4 maps for the first 2 DLCs.
Right, that was surprising.
So that we need to give them credit and say, okay, if you're only going to give me 3 in the final DLC, I guess we did get a lot on the front end of Battlefield, but it doesn't help it feel like a full-fledged thing. Because
it is strange.
If I don't play those airplane maps, that's half the DLC that I'm not playing.
You know what? And I think you just hit what I was gonna say. Is Turning Tides came out, and 4 maps, yes. However, even looking back, we had 2 operations per every DLC so far. And Turning Tides, the first one, I only got 1 operation. And you guys who watch my live stream know that I love playing operations. I'm not that huge of a fan of a Conquest, especially not Conquest Assault. I'd rather play regular Conquest, to be honest. So I'm surprised by this announcement. I'm surprised by that they didn't create more operations on Turning Tides. Now, to me, those maps aren't bad. And then the more I played them, I realized it's like DICE is trying to reach the audience, because when you create a game like Battlefield, so many different people play it, and there are people who just enjoy vehicles, and so they made Turning Tides Part 2 for those people. I don't find enjoyment at all in Heligal and Bite. And what's the other one? Z-Burger? I don't like the whole Conquest, so not enjoyable for me. But if you gave me an operation somehow tying them together and made it work, I would have enjoyed that. What I'm concerned about DLC coming up now is 3 maps. Now, I'm hopeful here, but I think it's all about history, because DICE has really been focusing on the authenticity to World War I history when it comes to operations. They're not just stringing them together for no reason. They're saying, no, these are events that led up to a certain result, So I'm hoping these 3 maps, if they give us a triple operation again, Oil of Empires, I'm cool with it. That'd be pretty cool. But one does start to think the fact that they split up Turning Tides DLC into 2 parts. I actually thought that was an amazing idea. Do you guys think that they're doing that this time, or they're just? It's surprising to me that they did that once and then they didn't inform us that, hey, this is happening, or hey, it's not happening. I just want a little clarity there,
I'm surprised that that they did that in the first place. I'm not sure why they went that route. And not talking about turning tides here, but talking about, you know, the French DLC, right, where they kind of laid out, okay, you're going to have these 4 maps, and then they were like, JK, we're going to throw another 2 on there. It's like, I'm not sure why they didn't announce that off the bat at first. You know, I would really like to think that there's another 3 infantry maps coming. You know, because it's the final DLC. Like, you want to end it with a bang. Like, although, you know, we are expecting to see stuff revealed maybe at EA Play or maybe at E3 for the next Battlefield, which I think on an earnings call or something they confirmed is October 2018. You know, sometime around that time period. But you know, that's still like 6 months of time. Like, you want to have things that people can play leading up to the release of the game. So it's like, you know, 3 maps is not gonna, you know, keep people full until that time. So,
well, do you think that's why they're, you know, going on to my topic next, which would be, you know, the release so close to this last DLC that we just got, because we're only getting 3, you know, like, I mean, I don't know.
You know, I just
over into the next topic, but it just seems
I know
to
what
me
you mean.
like they're leaving us short with only 3. That's why I was asking you, why are we only getting 3, you know, instead of
it is different, and it's something else. Like, I think DICE is bringing value in the fact that they're bringing the other 2 maps, but it's a game mode, and just like Heligal and Bite is not for everyone, but it's for a certain amount of. There's a lot of people who enjoy just straight up Conquest. Conquest is still the most played game mode on Battlefield, and I feel like a lot of people will enjoy, you know, aerial combat, simple aerial versus aerial. It won't be something for me, and maybe you guys share that sentiment. That's why it's kind of hard for us to be like, darn, you know, we feel like that's not enough, you know, for us. But I think I mean, I would love to see this if they make that operation a triple, even a double at this point, I'd be okay with, you know. But if they bring, you know, future DLC that's part of this and another operation, man, you know, that's what it takes to satisfy me. I don't know about you guys in the chat, how you feel about this DLC coming out and all that other stuff. But I did get a chance to play some CTE maps, and I think the maps are pretty unique. I didn't play the one in the snow. Yeah. I played the No Man's Land. I'm not sure. It's like, I think it's called Passchendaele, right?
Yeah, Passchendaele.
Yeah, and I also played the Wheatfield one, and it was quite vast.
And I mean, like, the infantry maps have been good quality, you know, which is one thing that, you know, you kind of have to balance. You know, do I want 6 maps like the Russian DLC where, like, I don't like half of them, or do I want, you know, 3 good solid maps? And in my opinion, they're shaping up quite well. But you know, it's the same thing that we've had before here, as well, talking about game modes, because Air Assault is in effect another game mode. And you look at supply drop, for example, that they added with the Russian DLC. Like, there aren't many people playing that. You know, I worry about with the air superiority mode. You know, and I made some videos on it saying, you know, it needs to have more objective gameplay. Like, it can't be just straight team deathmatch in the skies. And, you know, people put comments in there like, well, that's because you suck at flying an airplane. I'm like, yeah, but you also have to look at it this way, where you've got people who think that they're, you know, hotshot pilots. They're going to get into those game modes. They're used to killing a lot of people on, you know, Conquest, and they're going to find themselves completely outclassed in that pilot-to-pilot gameplay scenario. They're going to get their butt kicked, and then they're going to say, you know, I don't like that mode. That mode's not fun. I'm going to go back to, you know, dropping grenades on people on Conquest. So, you know, they're saying, yeah, this is going to be fun. Like, I want to, you know, just kind of overstating their abilities. I think there is kind of going to backfire for them. But, you know, I personally would have much rather have seen, you know, that work go to more weapons instead of an aerial game mode.
Did you try out some of these weapons? You guys try them out?
Yeah.
I haven't done CT yet, no.
I know you played them in CTE because the biggest criticism from looking at the weapons, the SMG for the assault was really like
OP.
weird. It was like 9 bullets. It didn't feel like anything was going on with it. They made some significant changes listening to people in CTE and the community response. And I've played it since it's updated. It's still very limited. It's very fast. It's like a 1v1 kind of I'll kill you, very effectively. But outside of that, Battlefield's not a 1v1 kind of game, so I feel like that gun's gonna have limited use. But did you try the LMG?
The LMG is nice. I actually really liked the medic weapon. It
was weird. Yeah.
Howl. It's very weird that you have the sights off to the side, but you put the AA sights on it. Like it's
exactly.
Very nice.
Yo, I was hanging out with a friend, and he was just telling me like, dude, I'm like, I can't aim with this gun. It's just so bizarre. You're aiming to the side. He's like, put an AA sight on it, Mambo. You put that AA sight on it. That thing is like.
I watched Prophet playing to stream it one day with the medic sights on the side with the AA sights or whatever.
Yeah.
It looked pretty sweet.
It's a sweet weapon, and the sniper rifles are actually pretty cool.
But I'm hearing this assault gun, this SMG, is being revised. Like it's gonna shoot much faster and stuff. The SMG that we got currently right now, what is it, SMG?
Yeah, the SMG 0818. They're tweaking it so that it fires closer to what they estimate it would have, and it's like becoming a Hell Regal. So I'm not excited about that because I actually liked the way that it was. Like it had a slow rate of fire, but it was stable. And now it kind of seems like a Hell Regal clone. So,
but this is not the one that's coming in Apocalypse, right? That's not in Apocalypse. That's the one from Russian DLC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the one that's coming in Apocalypse is the RSC SMG.
Yeah. So it's like the RSC medic weapon, but cut down version, and it fires fully auto. I mean, like aesthetically, it looks like it. I know it's probably not true, 100% historically, but that's what it looks like to me. And it's an interesting weapon. I don't know. I feel like their weapons are getting to the point where it's kind of like very niche, like certain different type of feels, and that's not bad because with the DLC you try to expand on something new. And, oftentimes, like, it means, adding a game mode that maybe necessarily is not going to be the best for everyone. But I'm sure there are pilots who are going to enjoy it.
But that's the thing, though. Like, I look at it, I'm like, I think that a DLC at minimum should have 4 maps. Like, if you want to add an airplane mode that's really for just one faction of the player base, like, do that as a free DLC. Do that as... like, here, we'll give you a map. You guys have wanted air superiority for a while. It doesn't even have to be a new map. Like in Battlefield 4, I think they had air superiority, and it was above an existing map.
Yeah, it was.
And people liked it, and they played it. And it's like, that doesn't require any more...
Came with China Rising.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to put it in the skies above Amiens, like, that would be kind of cool, There's tons of different things you could do with it. Now, having actually played it, it is pretty neat. It just needs more objective-based gameplay, because I had a game where all I did was attack the objective. Try and shoot the airship for the entire game. And I had like 8 or 9 attack runs on this airship, putting rockets into it, shooting it with the machine guns, going to town on this thing, and I ended the game with 0 points.
So to recap for people who are just hearing this news, for the first time about Apocalypse, the way this isn't air superiority like in Battlefield where it's just TDM in the air. They're actual airships. I believe each team has 1 Flak, right? And the point is supposed to be take down the opponent's airship.
Yeah,
I didn't play it.
Seems to be that way. I mean, it's take down the airship and shoot down enemy planes. So there are 2 ways you can get points there. But the way the points are awarded is you have to be the one to damage a part of the airship.
The parts where when there's like
yeah, and it's like part damaged 100.
Okay.
So you can put a lot of ammunition and rockets into stuff, and if you don't, if you are the one to officially damage that part, no points are awarded. And
Yeah, that's
I
not
told him
cool.
that's got to change, because like people like me who, maybe I'm not the greatest at dogfighting other people, but I can go for that gigantic airship and probably hit it. So
Yeah, and
like,
I think
it at least gives me something to do. Like if I get shot down, fine. At least I'm contributing to the team.
No, I totally get you, and I think DICE had this problem before in the beginning of BF1 where they were making assignments that said destroy a vehicle, destroy 10 vehicles, and it could be like that cheesy thing where you've smacked like 4 rockets into a tank, and then some dude comes in and smacks one, and he gets to destroy, So DICE, I know, has been listening to the community about that aspect, because in their newest iterations of assignments, now they're doing vehicle damage, like deal 5,000 vehicle damage. So each one little bit counts towards that objective, and it doesn't leave anybody, like Flak just mentioned, feeling like, man, I did all this and for nothing. I didn't get the lucky hit at the end. So yeah, that's definitely
I'm sure
something they
they're
need to
gonna
fix on.
fix that. I'm sure they're going to fix that. I think it's probably just it wasn't built into the build yet. I don't know how you could overlook it. So I'm sure that they'll fix that. But,
all right, any last minute things that they need to know about details surrounding Apocalypse? I think we went over all the content pretty well, guys.
It's out in February, which is really soon in relation to turning time.
In like 2 weeks, yeah?
We are recording February 11th, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's insane. So let's get into the next topic. Mambo, what do you want to talk about on this episode of Let's Talk Battlefield?
Right, so this goes on, the piggybacks kind of what Flakfire was talking about, is the Apocalypse DLC coming out at the end of February for all of the premium owners of the Battlefield franchise. And it kind of shocked me when they announced, oh, by the way, in the live stream for Battlefield, we're going to be releasing Apocalypse at the end of February. I'm like, wait a minute, this is the end of January. You mean in 1 month we're going to get more DLC? Where was this at throughout the longevity of Battlefield 1's life cycle? You know what I mean? That's my taking on it.
Oh, they definitely dialed it up now.
Right. So is it strategic? Is it because they've gotten through the release of Star Wars Battlefront, so they've got more resources now to work on Battlefield? What's the whole dilemma? How did we get so lucky to get the next DLC so fast?
I wouldn't call it lucky. I mean, like if I was doing this, like we just got Turning Tides, that content is going to stay fresh probably for at least another month. What you would call fresh. A lot of people play, they're like, oh, I played it for a week, I'm burnt out about it. Like, no, I can keep playing the for a couple months. But it's like, why wouldn't you release that in March? It's like people won't even get used to playing the Turning Tides maps before everybody just starts voting for all the Apocalypse ones. Like I'm a fan of new content every month and everything, but that's not really the model that they're doing there. So
what's up?
They got the mixed game mode now where you can play all the maps, right?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
They should have done that in the beginning, in my opinion, but
that's a great idea. I mean, you put all the premium people, because who buys... I think the amount of people who buy DLC separately is a very, very small percentage. I'd be shocked if it was like in the 10 digits, So like putting it all mixed, Conquest works beautifully because a lot of these maps are very focused on creating Conquest experiences. So like I bet you guys who enjoy Conquest are having a blast, right? Yeah, it's weird now. How do they treat Conquest Assault? Like if you're in a mixed thing and you get a Conquest Assault map, are you now not playing Conquest, you're playing Conquest Assault, right?
Right. I think most of the modes that have Conquest Assault, they only have Conquest Assault on them.
And then if you finish playing on a Conquest Assault, you can vote on one that's just Conquest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's bizarre, because that's technically going from game mode to game mode, you know what I mean? And that's something that they've never done really in the past with their Battlefield titles. I think it's cool. I love the fact that we can vote. Do you remember the days we couldn't vote on maps? Ladies and gentlemen, we can vote on maps now. Like, there's a lot of stuff they're changing that are good. But, I like that, Mambo, you say these. It's interesting that they're bringing this so quickly. I think I'm starting to suspect that they might be bringing like part 2 of Apocalypse. Now, this is speculation. I have no connection whatsoever to the actual truth, but I'm hoping that there's some more stuff coming out for this Apocalypse.
I think a lot of people are hoping that, and partially it's because we've only, they've only announced 3 maps. And I think part of the reason like more people aren't upset is that they're thinking, oh, okay, like the last 2 DLCs, they put out 6 maps, so we'll get, another 3 maps. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. To answer Mambo's original question, I think, they're getting this one out the door so they can, ramp up the work that they need to do for the next game.
So you think it's rushed?
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's rushed, but I think
what would be rushed if they came out with 6 maps in 1 month, like all of a sudden got 6. That's when you're rushing things. You know what I mean?
With that in like a month, yeah, I'd be like, I don't know about that. But it's one of those things. I think that for the purposes of developing that next game, they're looking at it like we want to be done with this game so we can just wholly focus on that game. I don't know how I feel about that.
You think it's marketing, or do you? I don't know. I think it's marketing. EA Play's coming up.
I think it's just practical stuff. I mean, even if EA Play was coming up, like I'd still delay it until March. Like,
I mean,
just for the sake of
those that don't have premium, it's still March.
Oh, yeah. I guess you're right.
No, that is true.
But then it leaves April, May, June. Like, it leaves a lot.
On the last day of the month, so we could say technically February. Okay, February is a short month. It goes till the 28th, right?
Yeah.
So technically, yeah. Okay, you're getting it quicker, but then a week later is March, so we could technically say it's March that they're getting it. I don't know. It just seems like if it was so quick to get out the last DLC, why couldn't we get the other DLCs that fast? That was my like, hey, why couldn't we get Turning Tides that fast? Why did we have to wait all the way past Christmas to get another DLC?
Yeah, that's something we'll never know, unfortunately. I think DICE is gonna bury that one in their coffin. They're never gonna know. But the one thing, the only criticism, if I was to say, like, I want to know in the future, if my only advice to DICE and EA in this aspect is if you plan on like splitting up a DLC, I like that you told us. I love the fact that you said, hey, look, Turning Tides is gonna be split, but it means you get content every month, and that keeps a avid Battlefielder playing Battlefield, always having something new. Right. That's an awesome thing. Now, the only thing I would say about this is, like, now we're sitting here speculating, like, will Apocalypse have part 2? And I don't like that position. I don't think that's the greatest thing for the community. Community should know. Give us an idea. Like, hey, look, there will be more. If you don't want to stick to guns and say, look, there will be 2 more maps, there will be 2 more blah, 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 at least tell us there will be more so we know what we're getting. Because when you look at it, like Flak, you mentioned all the stuff that you get. Like, even if you choose, you right now watching live or watching the recording, if you decide, look, I want to buy French DLC separately, pay the separate price, the value you're getting. You're getting 6 maps, blah, 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 all this other stuff, right? You got the same thing with the Russian. You know what you're getting at least. So comparatively, if we're saying that this is the only DLC content that we're getting with Apocalypse, comparatively, that starts to become like a little lesser of a value, just because the ground combat is not really there. It is a strange decision, and I don't know why they did it. I don't know if we can figure that out ultimately, but I don't know. My feeling on it is I just want them to be more upfront so the community knows.
Well, and it's something, it's like, you've kind of had from a PR standpoint, you've had things being announced in different ways, like for the entire DLC cycle, where it was like, okay, here's what you're getting. Okay, we're going to add 2 bonus maps to this. The community was like, yay, we're excited. And then you had, for the Russian DLC, well, we're going to release Whoopkov Pass first. And then you'll get the other maps later.
Yeah, that was
And
interesting.
it's not a consistent message.
It seems
And
like
that
an experiment.
confuses the
They're playing their coin with
community, and confusion doesn't really reflect well on companies. Just like right now we're talking about, is there going to be a second part of
Yeah,
Apocalypse?
confusion is not good, but like Mambo said, I think they're experimenting. And
I'm sure they
sometimes
are.
you need to experiment to see where the sweet spot is, because you want to please the community at the same time, know what your limits are. A studio can make only so much content, especially when they work on more than one game. Yeah. And there's a comment in the chat says default 22. He's asking if this is live. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Awesome. Any closing thoughts on that? Just the fact it is strange that they did that, but closing thoughts on the fact that they decided to do that.
I like content every month, so I'm not really complaining. I just think once we get to March, people are going to be like, "Is there more stuff?" And I do think that they'll probably come out with a community map or two, and that'll kind of be their way of supporting it
for Battlefield
through.
4.
Yeah, supporting it through to the launch of the next Battlefield game later this year. So I think that's what they'll do. So I'm hesitant to really complain about only 3 maps in Apocalypse that I'm probably going to play. But it's just something I hope whatever we get for the next Battlefield, that the DLC plan is consistent, easy to understand, and so like we'll have very clear expectations. Like I think the community is less crazy when we know what's going to happen. Like we don't get offended if we don't get something. It's nice to have a very consistent system for that. So hopefully they learn some things through the DLC releases for Battlefield 1, and we'll see that reflected in the next one.
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I just want to add at the end of that, just the confusion isn't a good thing, of course. But having something extra is always nice. It's always welcome. So like if the bottom line is 4 maps for everything, this is a clear message you're sending to everyone. Awesome. If you choose to split it up, I think that's a good thing for the community personally. And there's people in the chat, maybe you agree or you disagree. You can actually talk to us live, tell us what you think, because this podcast is video recorded and everything else. The only thing I would say is, don't always say everything you've already done. You know what I mean? Hold on, my dog's just barking a little bit. Let's hold on, Sam. We're recording a podcast here. All right, good. All right, so what I meant to say at the end really is, I can't even think right now. What I meant to say really at the end is, have something extra. Like, French DLC came out, we all knew we were getting 4 maps. When we got the 2 extra maps, I was happy, I was excited. I was like, cool, this is new stuff. And even when you talk about weapons and everything else, like, sure, we're getting 6 weapons, it's not bad. But if they sneak 1 more in there, like maybe the Phantom Project one, ooh, Well,
they did at the beginning. They released Giant Shadow kind of out of the left blue, out of the blue. I was like, whoa, that was nice.
Yeah, and that's kind of stuff I like. Yeah. Oh, awesome. We're gonna wrap up that segment, and now that brings to our final segment of this podcast until we get to the open section for listener mail first, and then we're going to do. Actually, I don't think we got any listener mail today, so we'll see. And we'll do questions from the live audience. It's my topic, and it still is focused on Apocalypse because this is what's really on all of our minds. And what's on my mind is one of the newest features we neglected to talk about because it's my segment. It's what are some new afflictions DICE can introduce in Battlefield. Now listen, guys. Here's why it's important for me to talk about this. I read this and I was like, what is going on? You guys know about perks, and some of you guys watching, maybe you don't know. There are perks in Battlefield. They call them specialization. Yes. I mean, it's perks like Call of Duty, but I actually like the idea of specializations, It makes so that each, like, medic going like if you have a squad full of medics, they all can be slightly different with their statistics. It doesn't break the game. It just enhances the game, you know, in my opinion. And so this time, DICE came around and created a new kind of specialization called an Affliction. Now, what it does is it actually makes your character worse. And you're thinking, like, why would I want to make my character worse, right? But it's a special challenge. And I looked at that and I was like, wow, I see so much potential here. Now, let me fill you guys in on what Afflictions are already confirmed. Now, the two that... before there was CTE, the two that were confirmed is one called Mortality, and the way it works is once you equip it, obviously you lose a slot for one of your 3 specializations, so it equips as one. I think you can equip multiple Afflictions if you're really that crazy. So this Mortality says you lose 200 score within that round every time you die. So actually it's every time you respawn. So if you die and someone picks you up, it's still okay, I believe. All right? So that's it. That's an Affliction. So if you want to make this game more challenging to yourself, DICE is like, you know, we hear you. You think this game is too easy, bro? Challenge yourself, you know? Affliction. I read that and I was like, okay, let me keep reading. Here's the second one, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to this. Paranoia. You ready? What it does is you play with the gas mask on constantly. So for all you guys who like to aim down sights, I mean gas mask, you're limiting yourself. And I was like, okay, makes the game more challenging, but again, I was like, but why, you know? So I want to talk to you guys, I want to talk to the community in the chat. What do you guys feel about these Afflictions? But more importantly, I feel like the important thing to me when I have this podcast is to give DICE ideas of what we would like to see. I want to call on your creative minds to see if we can come up with some cool Afflictions to add to the game. I know this is a challenging one, all right? But let's just get Flak and Mambo your opinion. I want to know what you guys just feel about it. Don't worry about making one, because I got a few I want to list to you, and then we'll talk.
I wrote one where it forces you to bayonet charge all the time.
Which one?
Kidding. I don't want that.
Oh, wait, you want an Affliction? Bayonet only?
No. I really like some of the ones that are there. You know, I know you're looking for things that.
No, I just want to know, how do you feel about Afflictions? Do you think it's a good addition? Do you think it's time wasted?
I think it's neat. All right, so like one of the Afflictions I was looking at, I was like, wow, I can't believe they did that. Like, I would have mad respect for this person who would use this Affliction. So I shared the link in the chat there, but one of the Afflictions is called Peacock, and it says, once spotted, you remain spotted until death. So like, that is brutal. That is really, really brutal. That's like basically the equivalent of that, you know, like, we lost a sector in operations. Let me put a big circle on you so everybody knows where you are, so they can all come murder you at once. Like,
I think there's an importance there. Hold on, because the two I mentioned are confirmed, if I'm not mistaken. The one you're mentioning is in CTE, but there's a high chance that's going to be confirmed too. So let's go over the CTE ones.
Is there a carrot at the end of this string that they're putting in front of us?
All it is bragging rights. And Echo has a good point, you know, where he's like, you know, there should be a trade-off. And I was reading actually on the Reddit CTE, somebody else had the same kind of stuff, you know, and they said, you know, if you use Paranoia, you know, have it increase your hip fire accuracy. If you have Scavenger, increase your run speed and ADS speed.
Okay, so that's kind of where I was thinking is, like, I wanted to first just get your opinion. I know Flaky said you think it's a neat idea. Mambo, just quickly, because I want to know if you think it's a good direction or not. And then I want to talk about what I had the idea, and we'll talk about some Afflictions.
Yeah, I don't care for it. I'd rather see energy and weapons and new maps.
Okay, I get you. So there's obviously going to be a split in the community, just like there's a split over here, because, you know, there's always things that, you know, are important in Battlefield and things that are just not as important, but maybe they'll enhance Battlefield in some sort of way. Now, one thing I was critical of is, just like Flak said, is the fact that these Afflictions, they basically harm you as a player, and you don't seem to get anything. We don't know if there's going to be a reward, like a skin or a dog tag. We have no idea yet. You know, if you do some stuff with the assignments. But what I'd like to see, It's okay. It's a decent carry on a stick, like getting a dog tag or some sort of skin on a weapon. But what I would like to see is things that actively change. And I came up with those ideas as well. Like looking at mortality, you lose 200 score for every respawn. I'd like to see, like, while you take away on one side, I'd like to see that you give something on the other. For what I came up with is like, but you gain XP for squad tasks. More XP. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you die, well, you respawn minus 200. But if you're playing as a squad member and you squad reviving and all this other stuff, you're getting more XP. So it kind of takes away, and it still is kind of challenging. You know what I mean?
It becomes like a risk and reward, you know,
Right.
where it's like, oh, if I do really well, then the side is, you know, the payoff is huge. But if I spawn and then immediately die, well, shoot, I just lost 200 points, you know?
Right.
Like I like that. At the same point, I like the way it is now. I mean, like it's appealing to me, but I'm the weird person who's like, you know what? I've never really been one for like bragging points or whatever. But it's like if I had 3 afflictions equipped, and I still was at the top of the leaderboard, I want everybody to know it, and I would be laughing hysterically. Like,
Oh, cool. If you could put that on the scoreboard that you're using afflictions, that's
that would
really
be a
cool.
neat way to do it.
Maybe
Yeah.
a symbol. Maybe a symbol by your name, an A with a circle, like afflicted or whatever.
Oh, that's
Well,
cool.
The new kill card that they've been testing on the CTE shows what you have equipped. So if you saw that and you're like, oh, this guy just killed me with 3 afflictions, I'm a terrible player.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
if you
like-
don't understand what those pictures are anyway, it's
Yeah.
like, you know.
But,
But
I mean,
if you
I
highlight
think this is
someone's
for
name
those-
in a unique way, or
Yeah.
like you put a big badge next to them, like, oh, this guy, you know, that's a cool idea. Now, Mambo, like, if I know you're not hot on the topic, right? But if DICE went the route of, look, it's a perk that takes away something so you can boost something else. Are you game for that or not? Is that like, hey, maybe that has some value, or is it still like you're not interested?
Nah, I'm not interested.
Really? Do you use perks at all, or do you care for them?
Yeah, I use some of the perks. Primarily the reduced suppression perk is the unconscious or unconscious, whatever it's
Yeah.
called. I use that one the most because it seems like bullet deviation on the LMGs is just ridiculous. So that was built into the game. That's the way DICE wanted to go with it. So
Well, I think
tried
that.
to make that possible.
Yeah, I think that they added perks to do stuff like you said. Like, if you don't enjoy that aspect of the game, you can kind of minimize it a little bit because you get a perk, you know? But I guess I like these perk trade-offs. I actually think they're interesting. Like Paranoia, like the gas mask one, my idea was if you have to have your gas mask on all the time, well, you know, just like the Flame Trooper, when he has a gas mask on, you can go through fire grenades. So obviously a normal soldier can't do that. But if you have that affliction where you can only run around with a gas mask, you're also impervious to fire grenades, rather than increasing your hip fire like the other guy. But it's the same thought, you know, give and take.
I'd really like to see, you know, it'd be more than just the gas mask there. Like if you call it paranoia, like you're trying to get into route of like this person being, you know, like having some mental issues, which is why they're wearing the gas mask, right? I think it'd be real neat if they put like you know, extra things that are visible to you on there. You know, because I can't tell you how many times I'm playing like a map where there are papers blowing around or whatever, you know, and I'm like really on edge. You know, I see something out of my peripheral vision and I swing and I turn that way, and it's just this little innocent piece of paper floating around. Like, put more of that on my screen so it's more difficult to discern, you know, movement. Like, I think that would be cool. But again, you know, that's just going into, well, I just want to play the game and have it be more difficult for me kind of route there. But you know, I do like the idea of having trade-offs. At the same point, I'm like, you know, it'll provide me with a different experience if I want that, and it's totally optional.
Dude, this is from the DLC. Like, you talk maps, you talk guns, you talk game modes, all that. From DLC, from their announcement, when I heard about Afflictions, this is what got me the most excited. And I might look it. I came up personally with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of these. So, all right, I'm sorry. Sit back, relax. I'm gonna read them off because this is important. All right. Because look, dude, there's so much you could do with Afflictions. I thought of one called Static. Now imagine this. I know that in CTE there's a crouch slide nerf, but check this out. Static, if you're not able to slide at all, no slide whatsoever, but the increase would be your run speed is a little increased. Okay? All right, no, let me just read these off. Now check this out. Now, I call this one hemophilia. I got mad creative. All right, I call this one hemophilia. Not able to be healed by auto regeneration at all. So you must find a medic.
Anyways,
You got to use that on the Russian maps.
All right, you have to find a medic, but you increase your reload speed and like your switch to pistol sidearm, because it's like, you know, you're bleeding out, man. Next one I had clumsy, not able to resupply from ammo packs, but you can carry one additional like gadget. So instead of just 2 gadgets, maybe 3 gadgets, somehow figure that out. I don't know, but you can't resupply it whatsoever. Imagine having that new AA rocket and a rocket and anti-grenades. I don't know, man, but you can't resupply it. I have one called fragile, not able to be revived at all if headshotted or knifed. But the upside of that is increased score per headshot. I don't know. If you dish out headshots, you get more score. But if you get headshot or whatever, it's end game for you. You can't get revived.
What about having one where increased damage, you know, increased headshot multiplier, lower damage to all other extremities that you hit on somebody else?
Run that back one more time.
So, you know, let's say that you run up to a guy and you're shooting him center mass, okay? And let's say normally it would take 4 hits to kill him. Well, now it'll take 5. But instead of that, if you hit him in the face, and it would normally take 3 shots, it only takes 2.
I would be the only thing I'd be wary about is trying to kill people faster. As perks, I think that's not a good idea, because then it changes the core experience way too fast for someone on the receiving end. You know,
that's true, and I, you know, as soon as I said that,
it's an idea.
PC servers that kind of have hacking issues sometimes, like that would really encourage them.
Yeah, and you know, the aimbot that goes straight to the head, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just the one thing I would really tell DICE, like, be careful how you make these perks, not to go into that area where you give someone more armor. Or you give someone a stronger bullet. Nah, not really. I thought of one called Chain Smoker. Now get this one. You're a chain smoker. You know, it's World War One. You're chain smoking. Not able to steady your gun or breathe in as a sniper. So like you know, you're smoking too much. But so it's increased scope sway, right? But you got no sniper glint. So for all you guys who are out there in the boonies with your sniper rifle, you really think you're good? You can't breathe in, but nobody can see you.
I was going to say there should be like a puff of smoke instead of the sniper glint.
Oh, that's why you can't see the sniper glint, because
yeah, okay. You really put some logical.
Yo, man, I was sitting there, I was typing. You guys have to hear all of them, all right? I typed them up. All right, next one, Dazed. This one's called Dazed. Not able to spot others and see enemies on minimap whatsoever. You can't spot. But the perk is you yourself can't be spotted. I don't know. Last one is called No Tricks. This one, because I thought about, what about vehicle people? Last one's called No Tricks. Vehicle operators do not get loadout gadgets, which means, like, you know how you're in a tank and you press left or right and you pop smokes or you pop other stuff? None of that. No quick repair whatsoever. But you can carry additional ammunition for your main gun. So when you get into a tank fight, you know, it's 5 rounds each. You get like 7. So you might be able to win that fight. But you got no smoke. You got no other stuff. You got to be more old school about it. All right, so those are my ideas. Gentlemen, I'm going to challenge you before this podcast is over. I want to hear just one from each of you. Just one. One affliction. And chat, you got to come up with one too, man. Don't be slacking.
Well, I don't like the one that you can you can't be spotted. Like, you can't spot people, but you can't be spotted because there's a lot of people in the game right now, they don't spot anyways. So you're asking them, you're actually giving them a perk because they don't play the game the way this game is supposed to be played anyway. So I don't like that one, Echo. But the other ones sound okay. You know, all right. You know, you're bored with the game, you want some new challenge. I would like a little carrot on the stick in front of me. Give me something to brag about in front of the people that I'm doing stuff afflicted where you're not.
So what's an affliction you would design? If you were like, yo, I work at DICE, my name is Mambo, all right? Here's an affliction for you guys. Now I'm gonna preemptively say it's probably some cavalry something.
What you remember in Battlefield 4, they had high value target.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, but I don't know if
Okay.
I like that. That's like wall hacks on like the guy who's doing the best.
You guys know that one guy that likes to like take advantage of the game, almost kind of like in a way that the designers did not mean it to be taken advantage of. Like, let me get in a double anti-air truck and sit in the back of the map. How about this? Let's mark you as a high valid target, and if all the other squad leaders in the game agree with that, you're marked until you're dead.
No, the thing about that, Mambo, is we talked about this once, but I don't like that just getting wall hacks on someone, just because they're doing good. No. I would like, however, on the opposing team, a little notification saying like, hey, bro, you see, Flakfire? That guy is killing your team. If you find him and you hunt him down, you get, I don't know, extra points. You get 1,000 points just for doing that. You know what I mean? But no, you're not giving someone cheesiness to see through a wall. That's a little bit much. I don't want to break that. But think more afflictions is like a perk, Mambo. Like, say you want to do something. What's a way you would hinder yourself in a fun way for DICE to like design? Like, how would you hinder yourself?
You could make yourself a high value target. Make yourself viewable on the map. Like, come get me, I dare you.
Oh, that's a cool one. So as you spawn with the affliction, it tells the whole team like, yo, Mambo thinks he's the cheese. Yo, whoever kills him gets 500 points or something?
Yeah, or I'm better than you. Come get me.
But dude, you don't want wall hacks though, right? Because that's a bit much.
So it's affliction. You're always marked.
The one that I would like to see, and this is because I am the big assault anti-vehicle person. Like I would quickly trade extra, to have extra ammunition for gadgets. So like an extra AT grenade, an extra rocket for the AT gun, and just have it where like because you're loaded down with more stuff, you're running and it's like you're wading through pudding. Like you're moving really, really slow, but you're more geared towards being an anti-armor person. So it's like you can't outrun anybody on the field. You can't outmaneuver a
so you
smart
would walk
and
as slow
aggressive.
as an elite, maybe? An elite?
Yeah. Like have it something like that where, you're a bigger threat to enemy vehicles if played properly, but at the same point, enemy vehicles, if they're smart, they're going to know this guy can't get out of here to save himself quickly, so I need to be aggressive and go after them, and they'll win that battle if they're smart enough to do it. Like, so I kind of like that idea where you're moving real slow, but you got a little bit of extra ammo. In my opinion, like that's what I would have liked to have seen with like the support class, for example.
But you're talking about not ammo in the main gun. You're talking ammo as in gadgets, right? Like he's got more grenades.
Yeah, more grenades,
more rockets.
Because it's so frustrating to see somebody on the other team just go into town with a tank and they just play it in a way where it's like impossible to get to, or you run out of ammunition before you can destroy it because he's got like 3 people repping behind him, which is good teamwork, but it's like I still should have the ability to go after that person by myself.
All right,
and
so
if I'm good enough, succeed.
I'm gonna take your affliction and I'm gonna say something like, I didn't even think of this. This is just like, yo, off the top of the dome. All right, your affliction makes you run slow. That's the hindrance, but gives you more ammo, right? But Joe Mike just came up with an affliction, says if you play sidearm only with just your pistols as your primary, you run faster. So technically you'd be running at the regular speed, if you stack them, because you can put 3. Technically you'd be running at the regular speed with extra ammunition, but only primary with a pistol. And so these afflictions can, take away and add in different aspects, where at the end result might be like such a unique like loadout, but a combination of things. It's still a hindrance. Yeah, you're running normal speed and your pistols only, but you have a couple more gadgets and stuff.
Didn't they used to have it in like Battlefield 4 or something where pistol you ran faster?
No, that was hardline only.
Okay, that was hard, but they did it before, so I'm not just like losing my mind. No, like that wasn't.
No, it was hardline only. That was the only game that did that.
I used that so often, and I loved it because it was a risk thing. It's like I need to catch up to this guy so I can taser him and do the interrogation and reveal where his teammates are. You know.
Yeah, no, the idea of it, the change in gameplay can be so impactful, and it's a minute change, yet the good players are going to utilize it. You know, and that's a cool affliction. Joe Mike just came up in the chat. I don't know if anybody else is. I mean, we got the jokes. You know, we got people saying my affliction is jetpacks. Dot dot dot.
We've been we've had an affliction the whole time we've been playing Battlefield 1. I know you guys have experienced it. I call it the overdose. When you start running around the map with like a bad heroin hit and you start wiggling and jiggling and stuff.
Oh man, yeah. That
your gun, you can't see, you can't shoot, right? So I've been afflicted with this bad heroin overdose. I can't shoot nobody, and I laugh when I see people doing that. They're like twitching and
right, and you can watch them. I call it the Quasimodo,
but you can't aim that well.
Yeah, right. Wait, no, Flak, you're the resident historian. Did they even have drugs? Like, did they pump drugs in the soldiers back then?
Yeah, they did. Of course, they did.
Opium.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it was about back then.
Are you serious?
Opium.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the whole World War I was about opium.
Well,
imagine it's like I'll just blow it out of proportion. All right. I don't know. I mean, I see some people just kind of commenting around just about the afflictions that they think. I don't know. I just think it's such a unique idea, especially since you can stack them and you can get very creative developing afflictions. I know there are a couple of new perks, and I'm not sure how I feel about them. They were in CTE being tested. Like one was silent stepping. I don't know. I don't know if that's the direction you want to go.
I would use it myself, but it's something that it's like I was playing on the CT and somebody killed me. And he had that equipped, and I was so pissed about it because I couldn't hear the guy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I rely on my headphones so much to know where somebody is. Like I really crutch on that because it's the sound design is so good in Battlefield 1. So to have that just all of a sudden not be there, it did change the gameplay experience for me, and I would totally equip it, but I'm not sure if I liked it. I don't know. It's just
so you're saying
playing so
you
long
wouldn't be
without
able to hear as well?
No, it's silent step. That's like, you know how you hear your enemies' footsteps are louder than your friendlies?
Okay.
Now with this perk on, your enemy footsteps are not as loud.
Okay, how about taking that idea of sound one step further, Flak? If you guys have ever shot weapons, I have a lot of weapons. I own weapons in my real life. You typically wear ear protection. In Battlefield, there's no ear protection. It's like you have the perfect hearing, no matter if your buddy takes his rifle and shoots at an enemy right by your head, or you have a sentry cannon blast off, which would actually, if you were on a carrier ship, would suck you out to sea because of the vacuum of it. It's like, what happened to the realism of a gun going off by your ear? So how about a ringing effect if a buddy shoots a gun close to you where you can't really
if
hear
anybody
very well
shoots a gun close to you
for like 5 seconds, like a beep, and then it goes away.
So that's like the bad part. What would you make the upside of that?
Okay.
Your hearing goes bad in real life.
Your hearing goes bad, yet you can smell really well.
No, you could see better. You could see longer draw distances. Like you can't hear, but you could see really well. Or your scopes, if you're a sniper, magnifies or something like that. You get a better magnification. Like you could see further. Instead of getting a 4 times zoom, you get like a 6 times zoom or something like that. I don't know.
All of a sudden, your eyes just dilate. Nice. Right. All right. So I think that about wraps up this topic. Just talking about afflictions. I think that's the most unique thing they're bringing with this DLC, in my opinion. You know, it's something different. It's breath of fresh air to me for a person who plays all the time. And I would love to see them implement a system that does give something in return, like a takeaway and a give and take kind of thing. Sounds cool to me. Now, I do agree with the guys on this topic as well. It doesn't have to go that route. What it can do is do like Mambo and Flak just mentioned, kind of like, you know, give a carrot, you know, like give us dog tags, or, I mean, if you go as far as to show everybody like on the scoreboard in the game, afflicted, like, oh man, Echo's playing, like, yo, he's playing, you know, with things down and he's still getting, you know, the job done. That's cool, you know, getting things like that. Awesome, because otherwise I personally think I don't know, maybe you guys do as well. If they roll this update out with just Afflictions the way they have it right now, and there's absolutely nothing for it, I feel like that's just something I'll unlock and never put on and never care. Yeah.
Right. I feel
All
that way
right.
too.
So, any closing thoughts, or is that on the Afflictions? What do you guys-
It's interesting because I just want to throw this out there. Less than half the people on the Battlefield CT Reddit upvoted that post, so it was like downvoted more than half the time. So,
on the post that I said, like the guy mentioned something that's similar to mine.
well, not that, but the Afflictions post in general. So this is
Just
like
not
a
liking
real-
Afflictions in general.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's kind of a reality check for us to be like, oh, I think kind of cool.
What are the numbers on that though? Like how many ups and how many downs?
It doesn't tell you.
I think it would be a different story if the DLCs would have dropped at the pace that Battlefield 4's DLCs dropped. I think you would have a different response.
Well, yeah, I think the thing about the Battlefield community is sometimes there's a vocal minority. I feel like, and that's one of the things I like to bring to this podcast and bring with you guys, gentlemen. Thanks for doing this because I feel like I want to shine a little light on what is Battlefield. Like people be like, "Oh, Afflictions, such a stupid idea. Get out of here," right? Maybe it's not, maybe it isn't, but DICE has already put effort into making it. Let's give them ideas how to make it better. Because if we don't, you know what I mean? That's the idea, is just going to be like, well, wow, we'll get what they designed, and then we'll just complain about it. It's like, it seems like they're doing Afflictions whether we say something or not. That's what it seems like. Because just us talking and you guys in the chat saying things, that's not going to change their mind. It seems like they know why they're doing what they're doing. Now, what I want to say is like, hey, let's give them some ideas. That being said, you guys are always welcome to email us your thoughts or comment below if you're watching on YouTube, because get involved, get part of this discussion on this podcast, get your mind read out here, your thoughts read out on this podcast. You can do that by emailing us, the Let's Talk Podcast at gmail.com. Unfortunately, we didn't receive any emails this month since we're doing the podcast monthly, but feel free to email us. So that means we're skipping emails this episode and we're going straight to the live listener conversation. So if you guys been listening in the chat, here's your chance. If you have a question to any of us up here, you can at one of us. So for instance, I'm Echo Limits at Echo Limits, and I'll try to answer the question. If you want to ask all of us that question, make sure you at crew or cast. So this way we can get in and talk about whatever you felt. As I explained before, we try to keep things on a good positive note here, and be critical but be constructive. Give DICE a good idea, and hopefully some of those ideas might even make it into the game. I know I share this podcast with the internet in the hopes that it does reach them. So yeah, and before we get into the questions, I will remind people we're making episodes monthly now, and so next episode should be recorded towards the beginning of March, somewhere around there, maybe a week into it. So you can look forward to that episode. Of course, if you're watching on iTunes, rate us. Tell us what you think. You don't have to just be a part of the conversation about Battlefield. You can also tell us about our podcast here. What would you like to see improved? And what do you think maybe we're doing right? Awesome. So do we have any questions in the chat yet from the crew? Yes, we do. We got Dr. Amazing 415, who, by the way, is a phenomenal pilot. I know he's gonna like this DLC with the pilot update. He says, at crew, favorite thing about Battlefield. Just one thing, fellas. Favorite thing about Battlefield.
Like in general or with Battlefield?
I think he says just whatever. He says just favorite thing about Battlefield. Dr. Amazing 415.
I don't know. I'll speak to Battlefield 1 in general. As I like the setting. I like that it's historical, and certainly some of the previous Battlefields have been that way. But I really like those games that kind of show you an interesting insight into a historical period. So for me, Battlefield 1 was pretty awesome because we hadn't seen that kind of stuff before with World War One in a AAA FPS title. So yeah.
Cool. Mambo?
One thing that I always has stood out in my mind for Battlefield versus other games, shooters in general, sounds.
Really?
The sounds of Battlefield. I watch streamers and gamers play when I'm not able to play, and a lot of times I don't necessarily watch. Like I'm watching Echo Limits play Battlefield right during the day. I'm at work. I'm listening to the live stream, and all I hear is boom, 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 dude, It's like, yeah. Those are the sounds that make me familiarize with the game that I enjoy because it's like immersive, right? It's all around you. Flak was talking about the sounds. Removing those sounds would be like removing part of Battlefield for me. So for me, the sounds make the game immersive and keep up with the awesome sound recordings that they do out in the studio that DICE goes out and takes a weapon out in the field and shoots it and gets all the different environments. Like if you shoot a gun in a cave, it makes a real resonance sound, or if you shoot it out in an open field, you hear it crack and that echo go off into the mountains. So the sounds of Battlefield, A+ for me.
Awesome. And the one thing I really enjoy Dr. Amazing about Battlefield is 64 players, man. You got 64 players in a server, and it is so good. It is one of the best games to this day that I've played with this many people. You have games attempting even bigger feats with 100, and back in the day, Mag had like even more. But to me, is if you're gonna push the envelope on a number and there's a ton of lag, I just look at it like, yeah, cool, but the delivery isn't good. So I love Battlefield for the fact that they do push the envelope with 64 players online, able to chat, all sorts of craziness going on, and it works for the most part really, really well. Of course, there's some improvements here and there, but their netcode is really good for a game of this scope. Do we have more questions? I think I do see some more. I hope I don't skip anyone. We got the Legacy 10 said, crew, it's so weird DICE shows in the concept art the French apparatus mask, but it's not in the DLC. Flak, do you even know what that is? Because I don't. What's a French apparatus mask?
It's called the Tissot apparatus. It was kind of an early mask for digging underground. Is kind of what it was intended for, I believe. So, yeah, I think it's kind of weird that they show that as part of the concept art, and yet we don't see it in the game. And we really don't see any application where you would expect to see it. It's kind of surprising by me. But, you know, concept art is what it is. It's concept art. It doesn't mean that, oh, I saw this in the concept art, so it's going to be in the game. But no, I was kind of surprised by that. I kind of leaned on that early on stuff.
You got a little...
because it's got this mask there, and then it didn't happen. So it just goes to show, you know, you think you have everything figured out, and then you don't. So,
interesting. I don't have a comment on that, Mambo. I didn't even know what that was.
No, I mean digging underground. Where they got a air hose that would go all the way out to the top of the ground and they could dig out. I don't know.
I don't even know what this looks like. Cool, Flak, if you have a link and drop it in the chat, that'd be dope.
I'll see if I can find something.
Let's see, we have another question. We got Seth Jez says, your least favorite thing in Battlefield, what makes you cringe? We got the favorite and now we get the least favorite.
Yeah.
Let's see. Least favorite. Sweet spot. Sweet spot makes me cringe. I don't like the sweet spot. I think sweet spot's okay. I feel like just not 100% damage. Make it 95, make it 90. Give me a chance to survive this random fact that he shot me at a perfect distance. My cringe moment.
No. For me, it's blueberries. Like, I find myself running around all the time. It's like, I have no ammo. And you're spamming the I need ammo command. Like you're like I get frustrated. I'll run up to somebody who's a support and literally just punch them in the back of the head until they turn around and are like, "What's hitting me? Oh, I forgot I was support. I guess I should throw him ammo." And then you've got the people who play the class where they don't have what you would expect to be equipped. So like the medics who have the grenade launcher equipped. Like I hate it because it means you're only playing half of what it's intended to do. It drives me up the wall. Same thing goes for the
Flak.
support.
Flak, I think you're cheating here. It was just one.
I'm sorry. I'm really passionate about
just one. No, just one. I have to call it quits on that one. Mambo, one thing that cringes you.
You got an open wound on Flak there, Seth. He's just letting loose.
I'm salty.
All right, Mambo, just one. One thing that makes you cringe.
One thing that makes me cringe in Battlefield, besides the Smurfs, aka blueberries, not using the behemoths correctly, like a vehicle that will help shift the tide of war.
Don't you love it when they drive it out of bounds, Mambo?
And not use it. It's like, really? Come on.
So it's like the driving, or if you get like a gunner, same thing, right? Like your gunner, like you're supposed to be like you're in a good seat of a behemoth, and you're not really doing work because you don't know what you're doing. Yeah.
Right.
I bet Mambo's really happy when they drive it out of bounds and it explodes.
Yeah.
Just insta-death to your team's only chance at trying to come back.
It's really funny that's in the game. DICE has that's funny sense of humor right there. All right, we got another question by Animal GT73. Says, pick favorite, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, or Battlefield 1. My favorite, crazy, I'm going to say BF1. No reasons, just pick one, guys. We gotta do Thunder round here.
BF3.
I knew it. That's my least favorite.
I did just because I know you don't like it, Becca.
No, I know you like it.
Hardline.
No, I'm not. No, excuse me. No. I'm going to stop asking you questions, Flak. Clearly, Animal GT wanted BF3, BF4, or 1. All right?
I'm sorry. I just,
No. Answer the question.
Those Battlefield 1.
Yeah. All right, cool. We got a question from Taika. Says, at Flakfire. I don't know why you're even asking him because he's not answering them. In BF1, the planes wreck you on the ground. With self-repairing pilots can go 50-plus kills for almost no deaths. But just how effective were World War I planes against infantry? Question mark.
I mean, the answer is not very. I mean, if we're going to be 100% honest here, like, you didn't have proper bomb sites, and very rarely would you actually have a pilot strafe somebody on the ground, for the reason being that there's a lot of anti-aircraft artillery and that kind of stuff up there on the front. They were primarily used for reconnaissance and engaging bombers and that kind of stuff, so like the tactics weren't really there for that. And if you look at what was most effective against infantry on the ground, I think it was like 80% of deaths or something were caused by artillery.
Oh, wow.
So like artillery was the big thing. So like most of the people who died in World War I died from artillery. So they never saw what killed them.
So everybody who always complained that their cringe moment is that you died to explosives too much in Battlefield 1, too much explosives, too much nade spam. Mm-hmm. That's real stuff, guys.
That's real.
Okay, you're getting the full authentic experience. All right, next question. Is Dale Dead Bug 139? He says, at crew, the DICE has continually gave us more options, sensitivities to customize how we play. What else could they add to options and settings? Glad you asked. I can go first on this one because I have a really passionate one.
Okay, all right, you go first.
Give me an aim assist slider. Don't say on or off. All right? I'm talking about the slowdown one. There's an aim assist slowdown, but it's set to a specific value. Give me a ability to either turn it off completely, slide it to 0, or give it half so it's at half its value, and let me customize that. I feel like the player should always have the ability to customize his or her experience so long it doesn't break the game. Look, it's already in the game, yes and no. Give me in between, not breaking the game, IMO.
I'm trying to think for me. the only thing that I would have really liked, because I killed by it a lot, is the ability to change the opacity of the capture point icons, which you can do now. They did do that. And really, that was the only thing that I was frustrated with there. And I still
think
haven't
now
gone
you
into
can
the game
size
and changed
them.
it. Yeah, you can actually change the size of it too.
That's the most recent update, right?
Yeah, and I still haven't done it. Like, I complained about it for so long. I always cried to myself about it. Then they gave me the ability to change it. I haven't done it.
No, Dice. I mean, Battlefield. That's one of the other things that are just awesome. Just customization's
They
insane.
need to give us an example, like if you're in the options menu and they say, okay, you can change your opacity or your size of your objectives in the distance. Give a little side preview of an objective that's close and an objective that's far, and showing the change of sizes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
okay, here's
that'd
an
be good.
objective. Here's one in the distance. What do you want to do to that? The scale or the opacity, so
They
you
could
know
easily
what
do
you're
that.
changing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one thing to say it in text, and one thing to see it and what it's doing for your game.
Yeah, definitely. Great question, Dales. I really thought it was a cool one. We got Arioli. I'm catching up, guys. I know you guys are chatting a lot. I'm catching up for the good older ones. We got Akru. Just tell the Dice boys to make a battle royale game already. If we would ever have a good AAA one, that has to be made on Frostbite. The engine is proven to be the best for high player counts, servers, and big maps. We talked about this, Ariel, once on a podcast, and Mambo, I think, what was your opinion on this?
My opinion was because of server-side hit detection. If you have server-side hit detection, it mitigates. It's like the person that's between the two people arguing. Like, he said this, he said that. Well, really, this is the interpretation in the middle. This is where he was really trying to say. So it's like a mediator. Yeah. And a lot of games do this client-to-client hit detection. It doesn't work. Whereas the person in the middle that connects the two says, he wasn't really where you saw him at. So that hit doesn't count. So it blows that hit out of the water. So server-side hit detection has a lot to do with why the Frostbite engine does so well.
Yeah, but I think my consensus on this was, don't make it a Battlefield game. I feel like make a Frostbite engine game, yes, but don't call it Battlefield.
Right.
I like the engine in particular for that kind of stuff. Like, I'm trying to think of who crunched the numbers on it. I don't remember which YouTube guy did it, but said that like Battlefield's netcode is among like the best out there for
Battle Nonsense.
Some of those, yeah.
He's a great YouTube channel.
Did that. And he, looked at how everything compared, and it's like you look at PUBG, and it was literally like 3 times as bad as Battlefield 1's netcode, and Incursions was even better. So it's like they are working on the netcode stuff, but it's
that's very interesting. The Incursions has its own improvements.
And like just imagine what a battle royale game mode would look like on that engine with that netcode.
Or just simply battle royale with destructible environments. I know we have Fortnite, but Fortnite isn't.
There's tons of stuff related.
It's a little bit more arcade in its destruction, because like there's instances where I see like a fence that has holes, and you shoot at the fence, and it's rather shooting at the fence, not through the fence. You know how Battlefield takes that destruction to another level. It's really like, if there's a hole in the fence, you shoot through the hole. You know what I mean?
Well, or if there's a guy camping inside of a house and he's up there and he's just waiting for you to come in and open that door, just remove the entire house. Like, there's tactics to be involved with there. I don't know if it'd suit the Battlefield namesake, kind of like what Mambo was saying, but I would love to see it on Frostbite.
When you put it that way, Flak, I think the distinction there between Fortnite and Battlefield indestructible environments is that there's physics in Battlefield, and there aren't really physics in Fortnite. Things kind of dangle as long as you got one connecting piece, and they just kind of build. But it's still a good game. I feel like Battlefield does an awesome way.
Battlefield has high resolution textures too.
Besides,
realism. I mean, look at Star Wars Battlefront, because they didn't have destruction and versus towards Battlefield. Yeah, the resolution's better in Star Wars, but they don't have the destruction. So I think they kind of blended that medium ground really, really well.
Okay, we gotta answer this one real quick, guys. Let's see. Second question from Seth Jersby says, question if there's a gas mask to counter gas. Should DICE introduce a fire mask like in Hardline to counter fire, not gas? Was there a fire mask Flak in Hardline?
Yeah, there was.
Okay,
I think it
did
was
not know
added with
that.
DLC at some point, but yeah, there was.
Okay, all right. I was not aware. So just really quick, yes or no? If DICE added a fire mask, I'd say no.
And I look at it from a mechanical perspective that it's like it's gonna like they kind of work the same way. So like why would one not do the other? I don't know.
I'd say no. Give us more weapons. Spend your time on giving us a new weapon.
Yeah, there's definitely things, but it's an interesting question, Seth, and thanks for asking it. I just don't know how much usefulness there would be there. I'm surprised that they added that to Hardline. To be honest, I have no idea because I stopped playing Hardline at that time. Act Crew from Psych 917 says remove weather effects? Question mark. This is a hot topic one.
I mean, I like the impacts of weather effects. You know, I think it's real neat that you know a map can go from being a long range sniper fest to you know like close range mayhem in the fog, like within 5 minutes. Like that's cool to me. Like it makes you change the way that you play the game. It makes one map almost feel like two maps. You know, like I like that. There's added value for me with it, but I can see how it's frustrating to other people.
My criticism of this is the only thing is, for instance, in real life, you know, when you're outside, it rains very rarely. Depends where you are, I guess. But I feel like the weather effects are kind of mixed, like, in a way that's weird. Like, I'd rather see the game be more sunny all the time, you know, beautiful, stunning graphics, all that other stuff, and a small chance of rain. You know what I mean? And if anything, a very rare chance of a fog. Because fog is super rare. You don't get fogs every day, you know? And it feels like in Battlefield 1, they dial up the fog almost any time, you know?
I tell you, one event that I do like is the thunderstorm that you'll see sometimes on the maps. And that's one that I think appears very rarely. I had it happen like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, what is going on with the sky right now? Like, it looks scary. Like, I don't remember this being in there, and that tells you just how often that actually happens to me on that map. Like, it was on Empire's Edge, which I don't play Empire's Edge that much because I don't really care for it all that much. But to have that storm move in was really cool, and it was something that you know I'm not numb to it because it doesn't happen all the time. Like, I very rarely see it.
To answer your question, Psych, personally from me, I just feel like weather is okay, but it needs to be rare. You know, and not as abundant as it is right now. It seems like the fog is way too frequent, and the fog should be like 1 out of your 100 matches, and that's when you'd be like, oh snap, there's a fog. You see, the thing about fog is people should be excited, like, oh cool, a fog, okay, let's play, let's try to change it up. But because fog happens so often, it becomes like, oh god, fog again, you know? So I really think that if it was rare, like 1 out of 100, 1 out of 200 matches, people would treat fog like, oh snap, I had a fight the other day in the fog, that was cool, instead of like, god, we were in fog again, you know? I don't want them to remove it, but make it a lot more rare. Showcase, you have such a beautiful game, Battlefield is such a beautiful game, showcase the graphics, please. You know, people want to look around. You know, I remember when Battlefront 1 came out and I was playing in servers, and I would see there's always be that guy who's going like this. You know, he's looking at the graphics. You know? Yeah. You design such beautiful games. Just let people enjoy the graphics. Some people don't want to play the game. They just want to log in and you know, look around. Any thoughts on weather, Mambo?
Yeah, I don't know about 1 every 200 for fog effects. But maybe once every 10, 15 games. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's too frequent.
No, because it happens right now, like once every 5 games. Yeah. Make it 3 times as much. Okay, once every 15 games. Okay, it's not bad.
I would want it to be super rare, like a truck skin.
Yeah, and
like
if you guys know
the weather equivalent of a Chansey or something.
Right, fog usually only happens in the morning hours, where you have hot air, like a pond or a water bed where it's hotter, but in the day it's getting cold out in the morning. So the heat rises off the water and creates fog. So they really need to emphasize the morning fight scenes if you're going to have fog. Right now, it seems like fog is coming in the evening. I'm like, this is not true.
Right, it's middle of the day, noon, and fog just rolled in.
Like, what is this? The earth.
No. The only other, I guess I would say my last criticism on the fog thing is give it the realism. There shouldn't be fogs inside buildings. I'm just saying. I've never seen fog in a building. That happens because I guess the way they design the level and they design the effect of the fog, it just encompasses the whole level, no matter where the walls are. And yeah, it's just like, I don't know, strange-o.
Okay.
Let's see. Questions. Do we have time for more questions? I think we have time for a few more. I gotta say, this is actually pretty fun. This is what I like about the end of the podcast. It's like us just hanging out with people and just hearing the ideas. Pretty cool stuff. We got Poppin' Buckets. Crew. The Benet getting super nerfed has killed my mojo. What support gun should I switch to? Please help. Nobody wants to hang out with me anymore now. The time to kill change.
Heard very good things about the Hewitt since the TTK change. I haven't really used it, but I've heard a lot of people are very pleased with that one.
I think the Hewitt has improved, and it still has like the accuracy that the Benet. So if you like the accuracy, Hewitt is good. Only problem is, the Hewitt has less bullets, so you would still feel the little sting there.
I think the believe it or not, that Lewis gun, the first LMG with the round
Lewis gun is a good gun.
It is actually performing better now because the other guns now were affected so greatly. So if you want to try accuracy, try the Lewis gun.
Yeah, that's actually true. I do like the Lewis gun and with more damage because it's a pretty heavy hitter. Lewis gun was never as strong as the Benet, right? But now with the time to kill, it's got a little buff there. So yeah,
which how the Shosha is doing.
Yeah.
But Shosha's too slow and too little ammo.
Yep, you got to use it like a single fire. I use the Shosha like a single fire.
It is pretty cool. It's like a DMR at that point.
Exactly.
Which variant of the Lewis gun though, Mambo? Does it matter?
I think it's the Storm. I use it with the AA sides.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great question, Poppin' Buckets.
Somebody said something a minute ago about upping the tick rate. Would we encourage that? Because Incursions is doing like 120 hertz tick rate.
That's epic.
The only thing that I can say about connectivity things is that I really wish DICE went back to the original limit for ping before you started seeing problems. Because it's at 110 now. And it used to be at like 70 or something like that. So it's like, if your ping was, 120, you were really on the receiving end of some bad stuff. But it's still like, it goes up to 120 before you start running into issues. Which means that, I'm like half a second behind where somebody else is if they live in, like Croatia or something. It's very difficult to play because you're trying to shoot someone. They're not there according to their tick rate.
Croatia, by the way, beautiful country, guys.
I'm sure it is. I don't know how their internet is, but just the ping from there to a North American server is you're going to have issues, and you should. You should want to play on your local servers. Like I don't go and play in EU servers because my ping is terrible, and it shouldn't, and it doesn't result in a good experience. But just having it being up to as high as it is, that drives me nuts because I loved the game back before they upped that change, because they came through with that and it felt like I was playing an entirely different game because, my ping being like 30 was actually being rewarded with, I'm playing in my region against other people who have that same ping, and it's penalizing those who are trying to join and play with a ping of 120.
Yeah.
And That's, in my opinion, how it should be. You know, and a lot of people complained about it. They're like, well, I want to be able to play with my friends. Should, but you shouldn't expect like an A+ experience if your ping is triple what mine is. Like, I shouldn't be penalized for that. Like,
Yeah.
you should be, because you're the one causing the problem.
This
Well,
seems like one of those, that question we had a few minutes ago about those things that really give you cringes. I think we found the true item that makes Flakfire cringe right there, guys.
Yeah, you know, but Flak, like, I speaking from experience as a live streamer, and maybe Mambo, you can echo that as well. And I know, Flak, you're doing some live streaming now as well yourself. A lot of people try to join from across the whole world, and I necessarily like that about being so interconnected. And the good news is like eventually, where the world just gets better and better internet, this conversation, this little problem will just simply go away, you know? So I think that DICE addressing it as much as they can address it, I don't know, it's one of those problems that you really cannot fix until internet just improves globally, you know? And I feel like that's where we're heading. I mean, that's the future of whatever this earth is. Interconnectivity and internet is the future. All right, let's answer one more question here. I think we have a question from, I saw one somewhere. Oh yeah, Devin LAT, Devin Lat. Crew, do you feel that medics are a little too OP now?
I would feel that way if I ever got revived. So,
You don't get revived?
like, never. No, like, it's so frustrating. Everybody's running grenade launcher, it seems, but you know, I personally, I think, like, you can say they're OP now, but I'm gonna take the route of they were so underpowered for, like, up until this TTK balance. I'm like, you let them have. If you've been playing a medic time, like, I commend you for that. Like, watching Prophet on Fire play medic all the time.
He's so dedicated to medic, yeah.
He is, and he's been getting his butt kicked in like one-on-ones for over a year because, you know, the medic class just wasn't that good. Like, it really wasn't. So having it now where people are like, is it OP or not? I'm like, let them have it, you know? Like, they dealt with stuff being terrible for so long.
All right, you know, I always enjoyed the fact that medics were limited, because arguably they have the best gadgets. Giving yourself health, tremendous. Picking other people up, tremendous. So having them not be so good at combat was actually a balanced decision I thought DICE made. But they increased them. Do I think they're OP? Yeah, I feel like they're the go-to kit now. You know, what was wrong with Battlefield 4, in my opinion, was there was a God kit, and the God kit was Assault. Because what? You can heal, you can revive, and you had the best weapons. They were weapons that can challenge any distance, assault rifles in Battlefield 4. I feel like now Medic is great, amazing at medium, viable at long range, and viable at close range. That's scary. That starts to become a God kit. I think they're a little OP.
I didn't care for the whole TTK change anyway, so when that changed the meta of the game, it just changed how I play the game. I don't care for it.
You gotta find, like, Poppin' Buckets asked us in the chat, if you're feeling that way, Mambo, you gotta find and experiment with guns you've never played with before. Because I think, you know, like, for instance, Benet was my favorite too, and now I feel like Benet isn't as great anymore because of the changes to Bloom and stuff. But I've discovered new weapons that are even more effective than they used to be. Barstorm, absolutely ripped now. You were talking about the Lewis gun, actually pretty decent, yeah. I had like an amazing streak with the MG15, where, like, before I used to have to hit like 8 bullets to someone just to down them. Now it's like 4 or 5 and they're down. I killed like 13 people in like a minute. It was ridiculous. So like
it made the Ribby Rolla not suck. You know,
yeah,
like,
that
to
Ribby
me,
Rolla sucked.
That was one that, like, always underperformed. It was a cool concept, but it was just like, why would I pick this over, you know, the MP18? Or, you know, other people would see it and go, well, why would I give up my Hell Regal for that, you know?
Yep.
And now they're like, oh, like, this gun is actually decent. It's got a bipod on it. It's got a bayonet on it. Like, there are a lot of reasons to use it right now. But from what I hear, they're going to nerf it again in the next patch, so we'll see.
Ribeye Roll's gonna get a nerf?
That's what I heard. I don't remember where I read it, but yeah.
That's surprising. So I don't know. That's it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to the episode 24 of this podcast, Let's Talk Battlefield. I had a blast. I know these guys as well had a blast. Let's do a quick sign-off. So if we're not podcasting here, gentlemen, Flak, where can these fine people find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Flakfire Gaming, on Twitch, twitch.tv/Flakfire, and if you want some memes, you can always go to my Twitter page, which is at Flakfire Gaming.
Best gifts on Twitter, for sure. Mambo, where can these fine folks find you?
Yeah, Mambo_B on Twitch, 6 days a week in the evenings. You can check me out on Twitch, and if you want to reach out directly to me, you can reach me through my Twitter channel, Mambo_BEE.
Awesome. And I was your host, Echo Limits. That's spelled EKOLIMITS. Find me on Twitch with that name. You can also find me on Twitter with that name. All my other social media is up there if you care to look for it. Thank you so much for being a part of this discussion. It's like a tongue twister. But it does mean a lot for all of us that you guys show up and support the podcast and give your opinion. Whether it is a funny one or it's a more serious one or just, constructive or sometimes even critical. All of that is important because when you bring it all together, that's what the community is about. We're here because we love this game and we try to make it better. Of course, I'll remind you guys, we'll be recording. Stay tuned to our Twitter pages, all of us. That's where we kind of update people when we record. This is a monthly podcast now, since we kind of slowed things down between the schedules that we've had. So we will be back again sometime in March, around the second week maybe, or first Sunday. We always record on Sundays on my Twitch channel. Of course, if you're watching the recording on YouTube or you're watching it on iTunes, don't forget to give us a rating, comment below, let us know what you think. I will say again, the podcast email is theletstalkpodcast@gmail.com. Send us your thoughts if you're watching the recording. For everyone who was here live, thank you so much for tuning in. And with that, we're gonna hit you guys with our sign off. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching.